Selling an inherited house in Alabama usually starts with one question: who has the legal authority to sell it? Not who wants to sell it, not who has the keys, not who has been paying the utilities. The real question is whether someone has been legally appointed to act for the estate, and that's where a lot of families get surprised. If you inherited a house in Alabama, especially here in Huntsville or Madison County, you may be dealing with grief, family decisions, old belongings, repairs, title questions, and pressure from relatives who all have different opinions. That's a lot. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through the basic steps of selling an inherited house in Alabama, what usually has to happen first, and where families tend to get into trouble. The first thing to understand is probate. Probate is the legal process where the court helps settle a person's estate after they pass away. In most Alabama inherited property situations, the home cannot legally be sold until the probate court appoints an executor or personal representative. That person is the one who has authority to act for the estate. They can sign documents. They can work with the real estate attorney. They can authorize the listing. And eventually they can help move the sale toward closing. Until that appointment happens, the family may be able to talk about selling. They may be able to clean out the house. They may even be able to interview a real estate agent. But they usually cannot transfer title or close a sale. That's the part people miss. Everybody may agree. The buyer may be ready. The price may be fair. But if no one has legal authority to sign the deed, the sale is not ready to close. Now, there are situations where probate may be simpler. If the estate is small, Alabama may allow a simplified process. If the home was held in a revocable living trust, it may transfer outside the normal probate process. If the property was titled with right of survivorship, the surviving owner may automatically receive the property. But for many family homes, especially in Huntsville, Madison, Hampton Cove, Owens Crossroads, and across Madison County, the value of the home usually means formal probate is involved. That's why one of the first calls should be to a qualified Alabama probate attorney, not after you find a buyer, not after you agree on a price, early. Because the legal side controls the timing, and timing matters. A lot of families ask, how long does probate take in Alabama? The honest answer is, it depends. If there is a clear will, cooperative heirs, and no major title or debt problems, probate may take several months. In many cases, people should think in terms of 6 to 12 months. Sometimes it moves faster. Sometimes it takes longer. What slows it down? Family disagreement, heirs who live out of state, unclear ownership history, estate debts that need to be handled, missing documents, or one person who thinks the house is worth more than the market will actually support. That last one is common. And it's not always about greed. Sometimes it's emotional. A family home is not just a house. It may be where someone grew up. It may be where holidays happen. It may be full of furniture, photos, tools, and memories. So when someone says we should be able to get more, what they may really mean is this house meant more to us. And that's understandable. But buyers do not pay for family history. They pay for location, condition, updates, layout, financing risk, and comparable sales. That's why pricing an inherited house correctly is so important. Inherited homes often fall into one of three categories. Some are clean, updated, and ready to sell with minimal work. Some need basic prep, cleaning, paint, flooring, landscaping, and small repairs. Others need significant updating or may need to be sold as is. There is no one right answer. The right strategy depends on the house, the estate timeline, the family's goals, and the likely buyer pool. In Huntsville and Madison County, condition has become a bigger deal. Buyers are comparing resale homes against newer homes, updated homes, and homes with fewer unknowns. If an inherited property has old carpet, dated bathrooms, original kitchen cabinets, deferred maintenance, or a full house of personal property, buyers are going to factor that in. They may still want the home, but they will usually expect the price to reflect the work. That does not mean you have to remodel the house. In fact, I would be very careful about spending a lot of estate money on major renovations unless you have a clear plan. Sometimes a light prep strategy makes sense. Clean it out. Remove personal items. Improve curb appeal. Handle obvious repairs. Make it easier for buyers to see the space. Other times, selling as is the smarter move. But as is does not mean price it like it's updated. That's where sellers lose time. If the home needs work, the price has to make sense for the condition. Otherwise, the listing sits. Then you get price reductions. Then buyers start wondering what's wrong with it. And the family ends up having the same hard conversation later, only with less leverage. Another issue with inherited homes is disclosure. Alabama is commonly considered a buyer beware state. That means Alabama does not require the same type of broad seller disclosure form that some other states require. But that does not mean a seller or a state representative can hide known problems or lie when asked a direct question. For inherited homes, the executor or heirs may genuinely not know much about the property. That's normal. Maybe no one has lived in the house for years. Maybe the person who passed away handled everything. Maybe the heirs live out of state. The best approach is simple. Be honest about what you know. Be honest about what you don't know. And work with your real estate attorney and agent to document things correctly. Do not guess. Do not minimize known problems. Do not say something is fine if you do not know. That can create issues later. Now let's talk about taxes, because this is another area where people get nervous. When you inherit a home, there is often something called a stepped-up basis. In plain English, that generally means the tax basis of the property resets to the fair market value at the time of the owner's death. So if a parent bought the home decades ago for a much lower price, the heirs may not be taxed based on that original purchase price. They may be taxed based on the difference between the value at death and the eventual sale price. In many situations, that can reduce or even eliminate a large capital gains issue. But do not rely on a real estate agent for tax advice. Talk to a CPA or tax professional before making decisions. The same goes for legal questions. Talk to a qualified Alabama attorney. My role is to help you understand pricing, preparation, buyer demand, timing, and the local market side of the sale. The attorney handles the legal authority, probate documents, title, deed, and closing. The CPA helps with tax exposure. You want the right people in the right seats. Now, once you have legal authority to sell, the real estate process becomes more familiar. You need to determine the home's current market value. You need to decide whether to sell as is or make targeted improvements. You need a plan for personal property. You need professional marketing. You need clear communication among the heirs. And you need to know what your net proceeds may look like after closing costs, payoff items, estate expenses, and any agreed repairs or credits. For homes in Huntsville and Madison County, I usually tell inherited property sellers to start with 3 practical steps. First, confirm who has legal authority. Before anything else, make sure the executor or personal representative has been appointed, or that your attorney has confirmed the property can be sold another way. Second, get a realistic market opinion before spending money. Do not assume a full remodel is necessary. Do not assume the house should be sold exactly as it sits. Get the numbers first. Look at what similar homes are selling for in that specific area, in that specific condition in the current market. Third, create a clean plan for the house. That includes belongings, utilities, insurance, maintenance, lawn care, keys, access, repairs, and communication with the heirs. The smoother the plan, the less stressful the sale becomes. Here's where families often make the biggest mistake. They wait too long to get organized. The house sits vacant. The yard gets overgrown. Utilities get disconnected. Insurance gets complicated. Small issues turn into larger repairs. Then when they finally list it, the home feels neglected. That hurts buyer confidence. And buyer confidence affects price. The goal is not to rush. The goal is to get clear legal authority, clear pricing, clear condition strategy, clear communication, clear next steps. When you do that, selling an inherited house becomes much more manageable. It may still be emotional. It may still take time, but it does not have to feel chaotic, and it does not have to turn into a family battle over guesses, opinions, and outdated values. If you're dealing with an inherited property in Huntsville, Madison, Hampton Cove, Owens Crossroads, or anywhere in Madison County, this is exactly the kind of situation where a short conversation can save you a lot of time and guesswork. I can help you look at the property from a buyer's point of view, understand the likely value range, and decide whether selling as is or doing some light prep makes more sense. Schedule your free 20-minute strategy call using the link in the description. And before you make final legal or tax decisions, make sure you talk with a qualified Alabama attorney and a CPA who understands your specific situation. The right plan can help you protect the estate, reduce stress, and move forward with confidence.